All right, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Fuse 8 TV. I am your host, Betsy Bird, and today we have a fantastic author by the name of Geoff Rodkey. If you do not know him, you are a fool. Actually, you probably just haven't heard of him yet, but you are so lucky because you're going to get to hear from him today. This is him. I'm not going to give away too much, except to say that he is amazing, and you are going to learn about him. And hello. Hi. So, thank you for joining me yet again in my living room because we are high tech over here. And today we're going to begin with yet another episode of reading too much into picture books. And today I took my inspiration from my very own little son who's turning one right now, and he's so cute, and he wants to hear one particular book all the time, and that is Subway. This is Subway by Anastasia Sewin. It's illustrated by Karen Katz, who, if you don't know Karen Katz, you don't have children. The crazy thing about this book is if you read it enough times, you begin to notice things about it. Crazy things about it. You wouldn't think it because it's very catchy. It's like, here's how it goes. It goes, we go down to go uptown, down, down, down in the subway. See? It's catchy. It's got to be, you can dance to it. The more I read this, the more I realize this is about a spy handoff. I will explain why. In this book, there's a character. This is the mom with the daughter. It's very nice. But there's another person. It's this guy. All right, see this guy? Take a look at him. See, with the blue shirt? Oh, he looks innocuous now. First of all, this scene never takes place in this book, all right? Or does it? I don't think it does. So let me explain to you. This is about a secret handoff. Okay, this woman is a spy. Read it this way. She's a spy, all right? She's taking her daughter. Her daughter has no clue about her mom's secret, life. She needs to get this document, all right? She needs to have a handoff with this document. Now, her contact is this guy. Note the blue briefcase, right? They have not interacted. They almost never make eye contact. They just happen to be on the subway at the same time. Isn't that coincidental? So he's already on. Somehow he's already gotten on. And she's hopping on, and that's fine. And as you can see, the only time they look directly at one another is here. In fact, you can see he's looking at her and she's looking at him. Now, at first I thought, oh, are they having an affair? Because that's the way my mind works. But except here, no, this is very curious. For the first time, he's removed this document from this briefcase. And now she's over here. She does not appear to be noticing him, okay? For whatever reason, the handoff didn't work, right? So they're going up. Either she thought it did work or it didn't. You can see he's right there. You can always spot him. He's got the red pants. Then we get to this weird scene where none of our characters, none of our familiar characters, because there's a regular cast and crew in this book, are here. Unless she has taken one train, he's taken the other, and then he has rendezvoused to be with her. Now, why would I say that? They seem to all be on the same train. Well, you would think so, except in this scene, she's on, and he is suddenly getting on again. How did this happen? He has taken the other train, and he has rendezvoused with her because he didn't get the handoff, okay? Oh, now suddenly he's next to her. See, he's next to her. It's very peculiar how that out. Directly next to her. All right, this is the first time he's actually done that. And then handoff successful. There's his foot, see? And she's walking off that way. Spy thriller, that's what Subway is. Or I've read it too many times to my son, which is entirely possible. But that is enough of that. Today, as I may have mentioned before, we have a very special guest. And our very special guest is one Geoff Rodkey. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Geoff Rodkey. He is an Emmy-nominated writer of such hit films as Daddy Daycare, RV, and the Disney Channel's Good Luck, Charlie, It's Christmas. He was in college. He was the editor of both the Harvard Lampoon and the Let's Go Travel Guide series. His early writing credits include, this is very thrilling. In fact, I may have to ask him about this directly. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, which is super exciting, and Beavis and Butthead. For me, Carmen Sandiego all the way. His debut novel was actually Dead Weather and Sunrise, which was part of the Chronicles of Egg series, which is amazing if you have not seen it. And currently, he is a new series, and I think he was going to speak a little bit about that now. But anyway, Geoff, thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, fantastic. I can hear you and you can hear me. Yay.
Sort of.
Sort of. You don't need to hear me. So anyway, I have your book here, The Tapper Twins, Go to War. And so I have a couple questions for you, sir.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Fire away.
Okay, I am fighting against my instinct to only ask you questions about Carmen Sandiego, which is a generational thing, I think.
We can start there if you want.
Okay. How is it that there has never been a Carmen Sandiego movie, or she is not in the public eye at all right now? I would think this is a property. It's very hot, that it would do very well.
No idea. I mean, I got hired to write clues for the software, the video game. I don't think they called it a video game. And this was back when it was like on CD-ROM.
It was on Carmen. Yeah, I had it on my Commodore 64.
Yeah.
We played that, yeah.
That was the era. This would have been like 1993, I think I was doing this, 93, 94. And so it was mostly I would have to like come up with like 5 clues for every country, which like for Canada was real easy, but like for like Tanzania, you'd kind of be like, it'd be hard. You'd really be, and
this devil appeared in a Bugs Bunny film. Yeah, no.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah. And the Bugs Bunny thing, the Tanzanians they don't play that up that much. So.
You would think it'd be a real moneymaker, a real tourist.
Except that then they get there and they're like, "Where's Bugs Bunny?" And you're like, "Oh, I gotta tell you." then it gets awkward.
Yeah, it gets.
Warner Brothers gets involved.
Stuck in Tanzania. Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right, fine. There's no Carmen Sandiego. I dare to dream.
There's very little to tell, really. From my perspective, I don't know why they're not doing a Carmen Sandiego anything these days.
Someone must be sitting on those rights, man. Just sitting on them. Oh, it'll happen. I dare to dream. Now it would be folly to say that you are the very first Hollywood refugee to make his way from Hollywood to the world of children's literature, because it is a long, storied history of people doing just that. Dating back to the blacklist years. In fact, many people who were blacklisted became children's authors.
Oh, there's a thing I didn't know.
Yes, so you were actually walking in the footsteps of some very great people. Langston Hughes, for example, though he didn't do much with Hollywood, but a lot of Hollywood writers did move over. Can you talk a bit about why you made the change? Why you have moved from sort of the Hollywood sphere to the children's book publishing sphere?
Yeah, I was blacklisted. I used to be a member of the Communist Party, and then people started asking questions, and there was an investigation. Anyway, no, it was really it was a couple of things that dovetailed. One of them was Hollywood stopped making the kind of movies that I wrote, which was PG-rated comedies that are live action, which is something that, there used to be tons of them, and now there's almost none of them. And that kind of coincided with my having been doing it for like 10 or 15 years and getting really, really burned out, because it's just psychologically not that much fun to be a screenwriter on a day-to-day basis, because most of what you write never actually turns into a movie. And then when something does turn into a movie, it usually gets rewritten by other people. So I kind of had reached a point where and also it's like it's a little bit of a young person's game. Like when if you're a comedy writer and you turn 40, people are like, yeah, do you know any 20-year-olds?
You even know
so it was one of these things where I was like, I really kind of maybe need to do something else with my life. And I was like thinking about maybe like going to graduate school and getting a real job. But then I thought, I've never written a book before, so I should try it. And because, because everybody who's a writer kind of wants to write a book on some level. Like I didn't grow up wanting to write movies. I grew up like wanting to write books, and I just kind of detoured into movies for a long time, because there was a point when that was, if you wrote like a funny book, people would be like, so what? But if you wrote a funny screenplay, it would be like, woo, yeah, it was just, there was a point at which that seemed like a much more sensible thing. And so I wrote a book, and it turned out like I really, really liked writing books. So before I'd even finished the first one, I was like, I really hope I can do this for a living because it's so much more satisfying than writing movies. And that's fundamentally, I think it's because when you write a book, what you write is actually what the audience experiences. Whereas with, if you're writing screenplays, you're writing something that you're really creating the blueprint for a building that somebody else is going to build. And you don't really have any control over what the building is going to look like. That was an extraordinarily long answer, wasn't it?
No. I like there's nothing worse than when I ask someone a question and, why did you make the switch? Like, I just wanted to. That's the worst. So I much prefer spaciousness to brevity. Brevity's no good.
And yet, due to the Google Hangout limitations and the technology, you can't actually edit that down, can you?
I can't, and apparently every time I simply sniff, the camera jumps back to me. I actually literally placed this piece of paper onto my keyboard at one point, and it cut back to me. So apparently this microphone is incredibly sensitive. I was like, why? There's no reason for the camera to be looking at me at this moment. But
I didn't even realize we were toggling back and forth. That's kind of fascinating. I probably should have watched one of these before I participated in one.
No, actually, I don't think you should have. Somebody, I think it was whoever it was last time, maybe it was Aaron, told me that he had watched like 4 or 5 of them, which they started out so rough, and the quality has improved so much in spite of this. This is way better than what it started out as. So it's not a good idea to actually look at the canon of my Fuse8 TVs. They get really good later. I figured them out at this point, but so it's good. It's bliss. Go with that. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like you don't want to listen to the first Def Leppard album, kind of a thing.
Exactly, because clearly I am Def Leppard in this case. Yes.
I certainly hope that this Google Hangout is like the pyromania of your oeuvre.
Oh, that's about right. That's about the level I'm working on. All right, so you want to write a children's book, and what you begin with is like this epic fantasy series, The Chronicles of Egg, which, for folks who have not read it, if you want probably the best pirate middle grade novels that are not space pirate middle grade novels.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, they are the best pirate middle grade novels. I mean, Treasure Island, it's not bad, but they're really good. They're really, really good. And my cousin's kids are a huge fans.
Thank you so much.
So now you've kind of switched gears. So this is not other worlds. This is not pirates. This is like realistic twins and pranks. Yeah, so it's shockingly few pirates in this book. So why the change of type of book?
Honestly, it's because nobody read the Chronicles of Egg series.
I read the Chronicles of Egg series.
And I appreciate that. But you're paid to read like everything. I mean, it was like, and it was painful too, because like I love the Chronicles of Egg, and I poured like a lot of, because particularly the first book, Dead Weather and Sunrise, was like, I was writing it and I felt like if this doesn't work out well, this is the only book I'm ever going to write. So I stuffed it full of everything I would ever want to see in a book, which is why it was like, it's got adventure and it's got comedy and it's got, political intrigue involving these pirates and, puppy love and all this other stuff. And it turns out like it was stuffed full of too much stuff, and people kind of, the problem is that if something's got everything in it as a marketing proposition, nobody has any idea what it is. And the thing that I think is closest, when my agent was trying to sell it to publishers, he said, this is like The Princess Bride with 13-year-olds. Which,
ooh, nice.
Yeah, which I think is it's kind of apt, because The Princess Bride had all of those different elements in one story. Yeah. But here's the thing people don't remember about The Princess Bride, which is when it came out as a movie, it flopped.
It did flop.
And it was a disastrous failure, and it took about 10 years for the audience to sort of discover it on video and for it to become this like beloved classic. So like, the first Chronicles of Egg book came out about 3 years ago. So I'm like, 7 years from now, it's going to be huge.
I have noticed many authors who their books come out, it doesn't do that well. They keep going. So Tom Engelberger, who did the Origami Yoda books, and they became like a huge hit. His original series that he did was the Quick Pick Adventure Society, where they go and visit a poop fountain, which is a really good book. And they've just brought it back. Same thing with Marie Rakowski. She had a fantasy series called Cabinet of Wonders. Nobody read it. Suddenly she's all huge in the YA sphere. They're bringing back her book, you know, that series with new covers. So it'll come back with new covers. That's my hope.
Well, they already tried that. They've already recovered them once.
Well, paperback covers. Bah.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, I did see Princess Bride in the theater, so I have a history of this sort of thing.
I was like, and there were like 4 people in the theater.
I was young at the time. Okay. Here's a question.
So anyway, so basically,
right. The question I was asking.
That's the answer. Yeah. Why the Tapper twins? You know, I kind of, like, I loved writing books, and I was like, well, if I keep writing books that no one reads, this isn't going to go too well for me as a career. And, you know, and the Chronicles of Egg had kind of been an aberration in the sense that I spent most of my career as a comedy writer, and the Egg series was this sort of adventure, comedy, other stuff kind of hybrid. And so I felt like I wanted to go back to, you know, to doing something that I knew was kind of, I was good at. And also that, like, I also knew my kids wanted to read, because I have 3 sons who, when I first started writing the Chronicles of Egg books, the oldest one was 10, and he wound up really loving that series. But I have 2 younger kids who are now, they're now 10 and 13, and they didn't really get into the Egg series at all. And it was kind of painful for me. So when I sat down to write a second series, I was like, I really need to write something that my younger kids are going to read, because they're not big readers and they don't love to read. And if I can write something that they really love, then other kids are going to like it too, because they're a very tough audience. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of books that they like, and they really went for it, which was really gratifying.
Great. That's good. Now, and you can explain this as so there's the little thingy on this cover here. I believe this is Minecraft. So I believe you have a bit of, yeah, it's sort of a Minecraft-y thing.
That head. You're holding the galley copy.
I am holding the galley
copy. The head and the sword are subtly different.
Oh, wait. Okay, let's do a compare and contrast. Okay, here's my head and sword. Let's do yours.
You see mine? See? It's got a little more. It's subtle. It's very subtle. Whoa. But anyway, the whole.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it is very subtle.
It's very, very subtle. Especially the sword. If you look. Anyway, we were trying to get it as close to Minecraft as we could without getting sued.
Right. So, and this taps into the mind. I mean, any kid who looks, even with the slightly changed,
right,
you're going to look at this and think instant, like, Minecraft, you know.
Right. Well, and if you look at, like, the interior, you've got, like, fake screenshots, and then there's the chat log over here.
Right.
So there's an awful lot of, yeah, because, I mean, basically the climactic battle in the war between the Tapper twins takes place in a video game called Meta World, which is very, very similar to
a quick summary of the book.
Quick summary of the book. So this is Claudia and this is Reese, and they're 12 years old and they live in New York City and they don't get along very well. And they get into a fight over a toaster pastry at breakfast, and it escalates. And so Claudia gets mad at Reese, and then, you know, she does something mean to him, and then he does something mean to her, and then it spirals out of control to the point where you get 200 pages later to, let me see if I can find the climactic battle sequence. The battle eventually spreads online into Reese's favorite video game, which is Meta World, and I don't know if you can see that.
Invisible Death.
Yeah. It's a little girl with pigtails holding a giant shotgun.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, my kids are really, the younger kids, the middle one now is sort of aged out of it, but the younger one is, you know, he would live on Minecraft 24/7 if we let him. And I felt like, you know, if you've got a 12-year-old kid who is like the 12-year-old kids I know, you know, and you really want to hurt him, you're going to hurt him in Minecraft. And that's why the climactic battle, you know, between the Tapper twins takes place in this fictional video game.
Oh,
and it was also, you know, having kids this age was extraordinarily helpful in writing the book, because I feel like I have this narrow window in my life where I really actually know what 12-year-olds are like. And in 5 years, I'm not going to know anymore, and I'm just going to get increasingly out of touch as I get older. But like right now, I kind of have their number. So
with that in mind, are you continuing? This is just the first in a series, yeah?
This is the first in. There's going to be at least 4, hopefully more if it goes well. But so the second one is the Tapper Twins Tear Up New York.
Ooh, I have not seen that.
Oh, really? You haven't seen that? It's a scavenger hunt all over New York City. It's kind of awesome. There's like 100 pages, and not 100 pages, 100 photographs. We took photos. That's the other thing about the series is it's photo illustrated. And so one of the big sort of photo set pieces in it is a fist fight between Times Square cartoon characters.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that we staged in Times Square. I don't know if you can see these guys going at it. It was a lot of fun. And so that's the second one. And then the third one's going to be the Tapper Twins Run for President, in which they run against each other for 6th grade class president. And that'll come out in like April of 2016, like right during the presidential election.
Very clever.
And then the fourth one, which I'm just starting to write now, is probably going to be called The Tapper Twins Go Viral. And it's a bunch of stuff that happens online.
Okay. And then since your sons are growing up, are you going to move into YA after this?
I hadn't thought about it. I'm hoping to be able to milk the Tapper Twins for a while and milk my kids for raw material, because the youngest one's still only 10, so I got a couple years left.
You have a couple years there. That's good. Okay. Yeah. So there's pranking, I believe, in this book as well. Do you have a pranking history of your own? Have you engaged in pranks?
None. Absolutely none. Never, not once. I don't think. No, really, honestly. You'd think, maybe, right? No, I wish I had a good story. I have no good stories about pranking. I don't even think of it. It's funny because like people started calling it like a prank book, and I think that some of the marketing from Little Brown was like it's a prank war, and I didn't actually think of it as like pranking when I was writing it. It was just, you know, they were just sort of getting mad at each other and retaliating in various ways.
Yeah, I think they were trying to tie it into the Mac Barnett series, which is a prank. You know,
I think that's I think the fact that came out a few months before the Tapper Twins sort of, you know, put everyone in mind of pranking is what I think happened. Yeah. I don't know. Which
is good. Because anytime you can tie in a book with any other book, people love that. They're like, ooh, this came out and this came out. Put them together.
Oh. If you like this, try this.
Exactly. Read-alikes. That's a librarian thing.
Oh.
Read-alikes, yes. All right. Well, that's pretty much all my questions. I was going to ask what you're working on next, but you already answered that by saying you're doing future Tapper Twins books. And then
it's pretty much... Yeah, it's all Tapper Twins until Little Brown tells me that there's no more Tapper Twins.
Tapper Twins forever. Woo-hoo. That's good. Well, speaking of which, I should. So this is the awkward part where I actually bring this thing up again. So let's do that.
Oh, good luck.
Thank you. Yes. So I want to thank Little Brown. Because Little Brown is the whole reason that I was able to speak to Mr. Geoff Rodkey today. So thank you, Little Brown, for everything you do. And also, if you would like to see School Library Journal on your iPad, it is an option. I tell you this every time, but you know what? It's still absolutely true. I am Betsy Bird. If you want to see all the archived episodes of Fuse 8 TV, you may do so. In spite of what I say, they are actually quite fun, and I do highly recommend them. And thank you so much for joining me today, Geoff. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks so much. And thanks everyone for watching.